The Philippine other retail sale and non-specialized stores industry remains tenacious and robust. It constantly creates opportunities and growth for long-established retailers. It is consistently at the forefront of modern innovations. Retailing has become a sector in the economy that has been fueling the growth of the country for generations. In the Philippines, SM Retail has a deeply rooted market presence in the industry that started in 1958. That was the year Mr. Henry C. Sr. opened the first True Mart store, located in downtown Manila. SM Retail is acclaimed as the leading retail player that provides consumers with an aspirational lifestyle, reliable service, quality products, and consistent convenience. More than half of all global online retail sales come from Asia. Retail sales of the country were suggested to have grown by 5.5% in 2018, an average of around 4.77% annually over the past decade. The Philippines' local retail scene is thriving and, in fact, is seen to continue steady growth, given that international brands and enterprises persist in finding success in the country's urban centers. And retail accounts for about 23% of the total services industry. Due to the strong demands in various products such as cosmetics and clothing, the Philippines was ranked 16th most attractive retail market in the world among developing countries in A.T. Kearney's 2016 Global Retail Development Index. International brands will be accompanied by a growing cosmopolitan middle class. More people with sufficient resources would demand more luxury products, or at least international products. In other words, there will be a rise in consumer purchasing power. With the incoming collaborations of local retail department stores with international brands, the weight of demand traffic will soon turn in favor of the retail stores compared to online shopping. Online shopping outlets do not have complete control over international brands. As such, their products and services are limited. In 2015, the industry contributed 18% to the national output. That was a 5% increase from the previous year. From that 18% contribution, the levels were expected to rise around 23 to 24% in the following years. Retailing has been a major growth driver of the services sector, with the total gross value added in real terms increasing by 1.8 times. It increased to 1.22 trillion pesos in 2018 from 686.3 billion in 2009. The total retail sales for 2016 were projected to reach $134 billion, with the sector expected to make up 20% of the country's GDP by 2025. Among the industries, retail sales in non-specialized stores, with 141,787 workers, or almost 28.6%, hired the most number of workers. Retail trade not in stores, stalls, or markets had the highest average of 106 workers per establishment. By region, NCR had the highest average of 68 workers per establishment, while the lowest average was registered in Cagayan Valley at 46 workers per establishment. The retail analysis published by IDG mentioned that SM Retail, Pure Gold, and Robinsons Retail, the top 3 domestic players in the country, are scaling up their footprints with significant store network expansions and consistent sales growth. The country's middle-class consumption is expected to change the retail landscape with the number of middle-class households in the Philippines. It is set to grow by 41.8% between 2015 and 2030, reaching 8.4 million. The industry is driven by a large and young consumer market base and an expanding middle-class income who are receptive to Western concepts and fascinated by global brands. The Philippines is the largest market in Southeast Asia. The country is also the 10th largest export market in the world for the U.S. high-value consumer-oriented products, importing a total of $1.09 billion in 2018. The increasing disposable income of Filipinos will encourage further purchases of products within grocery and non-grocery categories. Domestic demand due to rising incomes and economic growth will continue to expand the country's retail landscape. Retail competition will tighten as existing brands constantly compete against new retailers, domestic and foreign, for the increasingly sophisticated consumer market, accompanied by a limited available shopping space. Filipino consumers have a high regard for money as their guiding purchasing consideration. Philippine consumers are becoming more price sensitive compared to the year 2009. Majority of the population is expected to remain within the low-income bracket. Income growth is the main factor behind the growth in consumption of Filipinos. The retail market is challenged by the low spending power of a large demographic. The Train Act that was signed in 2017 imposes higher taxes on fuel and sweetened beverages. These commodities will definitely affect everyone, and the higher prices of basic commodities will definitely decrease the disposable income of consumers, thus affecting the sales of establishments. The global attention of the Philippine market, combined with the slowdown in other regional economies, has attracted international brands and retailers. This was backed by rapid urbanization and wages. The country's inclination for malls and mega malls showed no signs of weakening. The Philippines has presented itself as well-established both to domestic players and foreign brand names. There is a growing number of foreign brands that are entering the market, specifically in food and beverage, as well as clothing and apparel. Southeast Asia is one of the largest export markets in the world for US consumer products. Penetrating the Philippine market by partnering with local distributors are one of the two ways for enterprises to take part in the market. The SM Group, which introduced Forever 21 and Uniqlo, Prada and Burberry, entered through SSI Group. Robinsons Retail, which brought Topshop and Benefit Cosmetics, and Bench Corporation, who entered Cath Kidston into the market. One of the many facets of the country is the steadily growing middle class, which means the possibility of more disposable income spent on high-value products will eventually increase. The Philippine e-commerce industry sees more growth in the following years. The market revenue grew to $840 million in 2018 from $688 million in 2017. The Department of Trade and Industry in the country launched the Philippine e-commerce roadmap from 2016 to 2020, wherein its primary goal is to get online business activities to account for 25% of the country's GDP by 2020. The consumer and retail sector of the Philippines has the highest probability to be the sectors most impacted by the month-long lockdown of Luzon Island. Their sales have dropped both at home and in China due to the coronavirus crisis. 30 to 50% decline across the total retail environment is expected. Local companies are constantly challenged by new international entrants introduced into the market. They are focused on satisfying the increasing complexity of consumer preferences. Local retail companies have also taken great lengths to thrive alongside. However, there are fears that opening up the retail industry to foreign investors could hurt local small businesses. President Duterte's administration puts a large emphasis on economic success. Many economic policies were formed to cater to that direction. And due to that, many foreign investors are attracted to the state of the Philippine market, lured to maximize the growth potential in the country. The country's political conditions and status largely affect the wages in the retail industry, mainly minimum wage. That can greatly influence the perception of investors and, more importantly, the laborers that work under the retail industry. A successful economy is that a stronger economy allows consumers to buy the products they want. Although the country may be far behind several others in terms of GDP and GDP per capita, thus decreasing the purchase power of consumers, that doesn't necessarily hinder the growth of the retail industry. Development of provincial areas will contribute greatly to the economy, as more regions in the country will be more financially dependent. Once the economy decentralizes and moves away from Metro Manila, and a wider range of options for growth opportunities are available in other regions. The retail industry offers one of the quickest solutions to decentralize the economic weight solely on Metro Manila and expand it to other regions. One of the key determinants of the Philippines' socio-cultural conditions is the language. English is widely spoken throughout the country, and that factor influences many decisions in the buying behaviors of individuals. That mainly involves communication of retail products and services in a unified code or language. Also, advertising campaigns that are adjusted to the English language to better capture the market. The retail industry adjusts according to the language because it affects how they promote and sell their products and services. The Philippines is also home to more than 69 million internet users who most likely have access to online shopping. The industry must attempt to utilize technology developments and capture the new market that it forms. It's important for retailers to carefully enter all available channels of distribution and adjust their market entry based on the current pace of technology. The Philippines is quite far from being a technologically independent country. Although the country will lag behind other nations in terms of technological advancement, that can provide a better utilization of the country's human capital. A lag in terms of technology can somewhat be hopeful for the future of the retail industry and the laborers under that industry. There's a law that supervises the industry, that is RA 8762, or also known as the Retail Trade Liberalization Act of 2000. The law set the guidelines mainly for foreign retail investors entering the country. It was an act to empower the Filipino consumer through lower prices, high quality goods, better services, and wider choices. More than the laws, imposing the guidelines on the flow of products and services are import and export barriers, tariff and non-tariff, that may hinder the distribution of international goods to the retail industry. Trade barriers can be a big hurdle for the successful expansion of the retail industry. In the continued expansion of the major local retail businesses in the Philippines, they have caused some damage to the environment. For instance, the expansion of SM to Puerto Princesa, Palawan can be dangerous for the environment there. The development of retail locations such as malls and department stores will contribute much to pollution. However, there are many options to consider in order to reduce pollution during construction, which will make it easier for the expansion of the retail industry. SM Retail has been one of the major local retailing firms for the longest time. In 2018, SM Retail experienced a double-digit revenue growth in all its other sectors, accompanied by the group's continuous effort to expand in regional areas. SM Retail's efforts to collaborate further with more international brands are currently doing well as the number of Filipinos with preferences leaning towards international brands constantly increase. Their success was driven primarily by beauty products, shoes and bags, and menswear. The company decided to introduce many other channels and platforms, mainly through smartphones and the internet, to purchase items. For instance, services such as the Click and Collect, where customers can purchase products online and pick up the product in a nearby SM branch. The firm is moving in the right direction, capturing all the market options and even being the first movers to some aspects. SM Retail accounted for 20.4% of the SM Group's overall growth in 2018. SM Retail has dominated the industry and was named as one of the top 5 best retail brands in Southeast Asia for 2013. In 2020, the brand remains as a significant player in both fashion and food segments. It has over 60 stores strategically located in cities throughout the country and has a diverse range of consumer goods, from apparel, accessories, and houseware to general merchandise and lifestyle products. The brand continues to provide consumers with an aspirational lifestyle, reliable service quality products, and convenience, all the while affordable to the common Filipino. For more than 30 years since establishing the foundation, the SM has kept its commitment to help in social development through its various corporate social responsibility programs. The social responsibility programs of SM have helped the brand identify with the lower classes and have built an image that embodies the Filipino people. Mall business rose by 9% to 48.6 billion pesos in 2016 due to added retail spaces. International toy world is able to thrive in a different demographic, an advantage of SM Retail. The brand has only ventured to China in terms of its reach in foreign countries. In 2016, the brand opened its 7th store in China, SM City Tianjin. The click and collect strategy is also being used in the brand's supermarket business. It allows consumers to purchase groceries online and then pick them up at SM supermarkets. However, The service is only limited to key retail stores, particularly the SM Hypermart at Mall of Asia and SM Supermarket in SM Makati. The Philippines has a young working class. The median age of the country's population is 24.3. The number of young professionals and dual-income families are on the rise, so there are now more Filipinos willing to spend on luxury items or products of value. Based on a report from PSA, household final consumer expenditure increases by 20% every fourth quarter of the year. Such data suggests the average holiday activities of Filipinos, from grocery shopping to buying gifts in the mall. SM Prime Chairman Henry C. Jr. said his company is still looking at Vietnam, Thailand, and Malaysia as the next location for SM malls and residential projects. The government favors subcontracting agreements between foreign companies and local enterprises rather than FDI in the strict sense of the term. Factors such as corruption, instability, and inadequate infrastructure, high power costs, lack of juridical security, tax regulations, and foreign ownership restrictions discourage investment. The Department of Labor and Employment saw that only a little more than 50% of SM's employees had a regular status. The other portion of workers had a probationary status, while the others were classified as seasonal workers. Although SM Retail has launched its online shop in 2014, it has failed to thrive compared to e-commerce platforms such as Shopee and Lazada.